Good afternoon. My name is Clare Schellenberg, and I'm graduating with a double major in Peace and Conflict Studies and Biblical and Theological Studies. Before attending CMU in 2010, I took a year to travel, work, and spend time thinking about what I wanted to pursue in life and in study. That year opened me to various issues of justice and peace, and so I determined to study PACS with a clear idea of what I thought this would look like. But as it so often happens here at CMU, it was not that simple. Soon enough, my understandings of peace and justice and so much else were turned upside down. Indeed, surprise and undoing have been the gift of my CMU studies for the past 5 years. It started on day one. I remember well my first day in Jerem Sawatsky's restorative justice class, at the end of which he held up a cup of water and followed to add in some dirt. He described that when you fill a glass with water and then mix in some dirt, it looks awful, muddy, and toxic, and how some approaches to peacemaking focus simply on the dirt and how to remove it from the water. He then suggested that an alternative path is to transform the glass. For if the glass changes and becomes like the ocean, and if you add the same amount of dirt, the impact is insignificant. I remember biking home that evening trying to digest this way of perceiving and knowing. How do we transform the container, I wondered? How can we cultivate our minds to encompass bigger possibilities? And how can we practice opening our hearts to be as big as the ocean? 2 years ago, I took a course entitled Cultures of Violence, Cultures of Peace with Wendy Craker. In this course, we read a book entitled The Moral Imagination by John Paul Lederach, in which he describes the moral imagination as our capacity to imagine something rooted in the challenges of the real world, yet capable of giving birth to that which does not yet exist. In order to grow the moral imagination, Lederach described 4 essences that are crucial: relationship, paradoxical curiosity, space, and risk. The invitation from Jerem and Lederach and so many others here has shaped my learning in PACS and BTS, and in the process, this place has shaped me profoundly. At CMU, I learned the foundational importance of relationships. The profound place of relationships in navigating all kinds of issues that we face came to me again and again. Karl Koop's History of Christianity class opened a web of relationships with Anabaptist thinkers and believers that shapes me today. Sheila Clausen-Weeb's Synoptic Gospel class unlocked relationship between different gospel writers in ways that I had never imagined. Rod Rayner's Peace and Conflict Senior Seminar opened me again to the power of story and relationship through qualitative research and interviews. Connections and relationships that were threaded in so many areas of my CMU experience also gave me a voice that has shaped who I am. At CMU, I have also been opened to the practice of curiosity in ways that I hadn't anticipated. All of us have the inclination to reduce complex issues into dualistic polarities. We are right, they are wrong. CMU pushed me to practice being curious, to be comfortable exploring nuances and wonderings that were new and which at times were far more gray than black and white, but which opened surprising insights. I experienced this profoundly in Harry Huebner's Politics of Jesus class, a class that changed my understanding of who Jesus is and what it means to be his follower. My inclination to reduce Jesus into dualistic polarities and cause and effect relationships changed as I encountered a Jesus whose holistic, spiritual, social, and political call resounded deep within me. The Jesus I began to encounter in the New Testament invited so much more than I had imagined, and I was being stretched and changed. Among the gifts of my studies at CMU has been a space for the creative act to emerge. 2 years ago, I had a conversation with Irma Fast-Duick about my interest in creating an independent study, which would involve walking the ancient pilgrimage route through northern Spain called the Camino de Santiago. Out of that conversation was born research on the history of Christian pilgrimage, and from that I resolved to walk the Camino de Santiago alone and open myself to what this experience might teach me. CMU opened a creative space for me, and in turn this 1,000-kilometer journey opened me anew to the way of journeying with Christ and with others. Yet again, my experience here gave birth to changing how I perceived the world, how I was in the world, and most importantly, what in the world was possible. And finally, throughout my studies, I have been open to taking risks, to stepping into unknown and sometimes fearful situations with no guarantee of success. This final year of my studies opened me to a practicum at Mediation Services, an alternative justice organization working with victims and offenders. Stepping into this world scared me, but it transformed so much within me. Co-facilitating mediations with professional mediators opened me to the possibilities for transformation between victims and offenders and stirred small transformations within me. Over the past couple months, I have also begun a congregational pastoral internship, another risky experience that has opened the space for me to discern and reflect vocationally. None of this would have been possible apart from the encouragement of my professors and the deep curiosity that my BTS and PACS courses sparked within me. Thinking back to my restorative justice class with Jerem on that first day, and on my bike ride home, I'm drawn again to the question of how we practice thinking and living so that our hearts become as big as the ocean. My CMU studies, my shared journey and relationships with fellow students, endless after-class conversations with professors about life and about school, and the creative and risky hands-on possibilities that have emerged through it all have changed me. I am leaving this place with a deep gratitude for the challenge and nurture it has provided. I am leaving with a broader and deeper awareness of what justice and peace, indeed what the call of Jesus looks like. I am leaving having been gifted with professors who have become friends and mentors and for whose encouragement I am so grateful. And finally, I am leaving with an imagination to reach out to those I fear, to touch the heart of complexity, to imagine beyond what is seen, to risk vulnerability one step at a time, and to open my mind and heart as big as an ocean. Thank you.